Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered at the Salon. I'm Jessica, salon owner and hair extension specialist, and today I want to start this episode off with a question. Have you ever felt like you were meant for more, but you weren't sure what that looked like or how to get there or even how to get started? Well, today I want to share with you how I've grown from being a new stylist 20 years ago to now owning a salon and specializing in luxury hair extensions. When I first started out, I was a baby stylist taking every service possible. I mean, I'm talking women's cuts and colors, men's cuts, waxing, manicures, pedicures, facials. Back then, it was not common to specialize in just one service. It was a commission salon that I worked at, and the owner was actually an educator, and it really laid the foundation for me and my career. Those years were crucial in shaping me as a stylist. There are actually still techniques that I learned starting out that I still use today. After a few years in the industry, I decided I wanted out. I had my business degree and I thought I wanted, a more stable career. I wanted nights and weekends off. I wanted like the paid time off. So I quit doing hair altogether and I started working at a law firm full time. It, quickly became clear that that just was not for me. Have you ever noticed like signs in your body just kind of telling you that something isn't right? Well, that is what happened, to me. I developed severe anxiety, and some days it was so bad I couldn't even go to work. And if I did, some days I had to leave work. It was debilitating. To the point where I knew I had to make a change. And it led me back to what I knew I loved doing, which is hair. So I started, ironically doing hair again on nights and weekends to start building my clientele back up. And that's exactly what happened. I eventually was able to build my clientele back up to be in the salon full time. During that time period, I worked at a few different salons, but I had landed at one that I really loved that I worked at for 4 years. Everything was going so good. During this 4-year time period, I had went through a big transition in my personal life. And, because of that, I feel like I was feeling a strong pull to move to a different town. I remember talking to my best friend about it and voicing this to her and, just saying like, I can't just like up and move to a new town. And I remember her saying to me, why not? Why can't you just move? Like, what do you have to lose? So it was that week that I decided I was going to do it. I found a new job at a salon in this town and secured a beautiful apartment and moved 2 hours away shortly after I made the decision. It was so scary. I, once again was leaving a full clientele to start over, but I just knew I wouldn't let myself fail. And the way everything fell into place so quickly, for me, that was a sign. I was like, this is the right move. So, I started over building my clientele back up slowly, and then COVID hit. And I was out of work like so many people were and had a lot of time on my hands. And there was one day I was scrolling Instagram and there's an influencer that I follow and she always has like the best hair. No matter what, it always looked good. She, just her length, her fullness, her color, it was always on point. She could have her hair in a messy bun and it was just like the best messy bun you could ever see. So she did a hair tutorial that day and she mentioned that she had NBR extensions, natural beaded rose. So naturally, I had to look them up and I just fell in love with what I saw. the results were so incredible. They were, it was beautiful, natural looking hair. And you would never know these women were wearing extensions. My hair is very fine. I mean, to the point where it comes down to like 3 hairs at the bottom. So, I knew it was something that I wanted, but I also knew it was a service that I wanted to offer my clients. So I went all in. I got certified and eventually became a licensed artist with the method. The initial investment was a lot of money, and people told me, people were telling me, don't do it. There's not a market for extensions in this area. But it was another one of those instances where I knew I needed to listen to my intuition, and I knew I wouldn't let myself fail. So not only did extensions become my signature service, but it's also what allowed me to open the Strand Salon in 2021. So that's a little bit of my history. If you can take away anything from this episode, let it be this. When you feel the pull to do something, don't ignore it. You need to trust yourself and trust that inner voice that says go for it, because that's how the biggest, most life-changing moves are made. In our next episode, we are going to be diving deep into extensions. What are they? I want to let you guys, know some of the most commonly asked questions that I get. And I'm going to talk about, a few of my clients' stories and what led them to my chair. You do not want to miss this episode. But in the meantime, you can check us out on Instagram and TikTok, and check out our full episodes on Apple and Spotify. Thank you for tuning in to Unfiltered at the Salon. Until next time, see you then.